Y'all, I don't want to be in this camp, but I am a little worried about Bella Ramsey as Ellie. What's up, you guys? It's Jonathan Carter, and today we're going to be talking about the first episode of The Last of Us Season 2 that just premiered last night on Max.
You swore.
For those of you that are unfamiliar, The Last of Us I'm sure everybody knows about it, is this massive video game, part one, part two-part video game over on the PlayStation that is beloved by so many fans. And the first game was adapted to a season of television on Max 2 years ago, and I was a big fan of that season. I love what they did with the game, like how they adapted it with the care and love, and also like because it's a different medium, it's television, they could flesh out a little bit more because it's obviously not just like gameplay. You are learning more about these characters. TV kind of opens up to give you what a video game and a movie can't. It gives you a lot of time, a lot of run time to get over these, like, spread out through episodes through a 7-hour long season or however long the first season was, and really learn a lot more about these characters and have smaller, quieter moments with them than you would get in a movie or in a video game. And with that, I was very, very excited for season 2. Now, The Last of Us Part 2, the video game, is a very, very divisive video game. I feel like people either love it or hate it, and I almost feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. Now, I love the first game. I think it's one of the best video games of all time. And I recently did a playthrough of the first one and then went into the second one. And by the time I got to the second one, I was just bored with it a little bit, with the narrative and the structure. You guys know what I'm talking about when it switches characters. But I think something like that kind of narrative can be adapted very well for something like television, and I'm hopeful that season 2 is going to do that. Now, before we jump into this review, please be sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, podcast version of these reviews. That would really help me out, you guys. And without further ado, let's jump into the review. All right, y'all. Let's just get right to it right off the bat. This first episode of season 2 is phenomenal. That love and care that was put into these characters and the writing, the narrative, and all of that from season 1 is still fully on display here in season 2. It has been confirmed that Part 2, the video game of The Last of Us, is going to be broken down into seasons 2, 3, and 4 of the show to really flesh out this like massive size video game that's almost or maybe double the length of the first game. And so, like I talked about with season 1, you really get a lot of time with these characters because not only is it a television episodic 7-hour long show, it's also only developing half of the story that it's adapting. So they're really able to break down character moments, and not only that, but also add new elements to the story that weren't there in the first and second game. And I also truly love the way that this show takes scenes from the game and adapts them like one for one. Like if you put a side by side, they are really like the same shot.
Are you okay? You all right, kiddo?
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with
He
you?
had no right.
And you do?
So this season finds Ellie and Joel and Tommy in Jackson, Wyoming. It picks up basically 5 years after the first season, and Ellie and Joel are in this rift because Ellie knows that Joel did something at the end of season 1, but she doesn't know quite what he did, and nobody does because Joel is being very secretive about it, but being very protective of Ellie, and so that creates this divide between them, and Ellie does not want to talk to Joel. They're not processing their emotions. And yes, I am currently in therapy, so I know what's going on here. So along those lines of something like of being able to add story elements that are not in the video game or that wouldn't work for a video game, Joel is actively going to therapy in this in this show that he's not doing in the video game because there's not really time for that. And I think that's a very smart element to add to this show, this plot point, because you get to see like the processing of what Joel did and how he thinks that he is still the hero, even though this is a very conflicting, difficult thing that he did at the end of season 1, but he still is unable to admit what he did, even to a therapist, and he also still thinks that he saved Ellie, that he made the right decision.
I saved her.
Whether he did or not, he still 5 years later is not in a place to process that, and I think that's a very intelligent and interesting way to display that in a show, to add that layer of Joel is going to therapy, so you really naturally, organically get to dive into his psyche, his mindset, without making it feel forced. So as I said, this picks up 5 years later after season 1, and in the video game does the same thing. You get a 5-year time jump, but at that point, Ellie is now 19 in the video game and in the show. In the video game, she is much more of a mature character person than she is in the show, which is unfortunate. This is no hate against Bella Ramsey, but I think the way that Ellie was written in this first episode at least is still very much more in line with who she is as a character in season 1 and not this more mature version of Ellie in season 2. So instead of being 19, Ellie and Dina in this show, they are 19, but they almost come off like they're 15. They're still kind of like wacky with the way they take out zombies and making jokes.
I think they sort of go together really well in that sense.
They're such a great duo. They really balance each other out.
And that's definitely in the game. Like, it is still part of Ellie's character, but it's just a lot less mature in this show than it is in part 2, the video game. Part 2 of The Last of Us is a very harrowing story. There's a lot that goes on. I'm not going to get into spoilers here with that, but I'm hoping that the show, instead of maybe having Ellie be like mature at the beginning of the show or season 2, they are going to mature her as the season goes on, as she goes through these intense events that the story has in store for her. And I'm hopeful by the end of season 2, at least, she will be that more mature version of Ellie and this less immature version of her, which, I mean, we can only really hope for. That being said, there still are casting debates running amok on the internet right now, like articles like Yahoo, things like that, posting articles about it. Should Kaylee Spaney have been cast as Ellie in place of Bella Ramsey? I don't know about that. Like, I'm not up for, like, to debate that, but I'm not sure. Like, Bella Ramsey did a very good job in season 1. They played the character of Ellie very well for what season 1 needed. I don't know if they can play Ellie this maturely that the season or part 2 of this story requires of this character, and I'm holding my breath to see if they can do that here. Could Kaylee Spaney have done that? I don't know. I do enjoy Kaylee Spaney as an actress. Should she have been cast as Ellie? She definitely looks more like Ellie, but I mean, who's to say? But truly, the only downside to this episode, this first episode of season 2, is the characterization of Ellie. She's still very immature compared to her part 2 counterpart. And also, can Bella Ramsey step up to what is required of their character in this season? That remains to be seen. They play the immature version of Ellie very well, but there still has not been that mature version needed yet in this show, and I am hopeful that that will come through when Bella Ramsey is needed to do that. So, the verdict, I am very much on board with this show. I think it is phenomenal. I love the way that they pull video game points and put them into the show and like mirror them shot by shot. It is truly incredible. Pedro Pascal has really settled into his role here as Joel. Bella Ramsey is kind of really the only holdout besides how their characterization of Ellie is playing out in this season so far, even though it's only been the first episode. I think this is probably going to be another fantastic season of The Last of Us. And all that being said, my fiance, who doesn't really know much about these games or anything, has only watched the first season of The Last of Us, gave this episode a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is that good, you guys. Go check it out. If you haven't seen it, like I just said, it's streaming on Sundays on Max. Catch up on season 1 if you haven't seen that. Watch this weekly. Come back here. Let me know all of your thoughts on this show so far and the first episode in the comments. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Check out my other reviews here. I'm currently running through the Mission Impossible series, a Road 2 series leading to the newest Mission Impossible movie. And all that being said, I will see you guys on the next one.